Buying tools can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I was able to afford the main tools in my shop on a budget. I'm also going to share with you some tips on how you may be able to afford to start or advance your woodworking journey on a budget. Stick around until the very end to see how much I spent on all the main tools in my shop. Before I start my actual shop tour, I just wanted to give y'all an idea of what my shop normally looks like. My shop looks like this probably 90% of the time, and the other 10%, it looks worse than this. I just wanted to be open and honest with you because my shop tour is going to be much cleaner, but it never looks like that. I just didn't want y'all to have to look at all the junk in the background. But whenever I work, most of the time, it looks like this. Maybe your shop does as well. Maybe you do a better job keeping it clean. I have a hard time with that, so this is what it normally looks like. I buy the majority of my tools off of Facebook Marketplace. Some were given to me, and others I bought new. Whenever I go to buy a tool, I first try to build something in order to be able to afford that tool. Or I do a side job in order to be able to afford that tool. So let's get started with the actual shop tour. I would like to start with the garage I'm standing in. We have a one-car garage. It is 22 feet long by 11 feet wide. And these stairs in the background take up a good bit of that 22 feet. So I'd say we probably have like maybe 19, 18 feet long by 11 foot wide. But those stairs actually lead up to a loft that I will be talking about later. And I actually would like your advice on what I could do with that. I have a few tools up there. I very rarely use them because the ceiling height is pretty low. And so a lot of the things I do up there, I have to sit down, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So the first tool in my shop I would like to discuss is, of course, the table saw. Now, for most people, the table saw is the heart of their shop. For me, I like to think of it as the large intestine because it always moves around. It just depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes I have it outside, sometimes I have it in this corner, sometimes it stays here with this outfeed table. That's a legit table, and this is what works for me. I have it hooked up to a dust collector, and it captures most of the dust. But I got this table saw for $200 off of Facebook Marketplace. I had an old Ryobi table saw before. That was my first table saw. I got it about 5 years ago. I sold that one for $100 in order to be able to put a down payment on this $200 table saw. And then I made coasters in order to be able to afford the rest of this table saw. So $200 for this table saw. Now for my workbench slash outfeed table, which is an actual table. Yeah. And so in order to get it to the right height to make it an outfeed table for my table saw, I did have to build like little risers. And so I can take these out. And so I just drilled some holes, put them on a block of wood, and that way it's the right height for my table saw as an outfeed table. I got this table for free. Don't tell my wife. And it's been great. Highly recommend it for people who have a small shop because whenever you don't need it, everybody's like, wow, he can take down a table. Yeah, look at this. Now, boom, time. It's out of the way. The next tool in my shop is the planer. This is a 13-inch 2-blade rigid planer. I got this off of Facebook Marketplace for $200. I did have an old Delta planer that I sold for $150 that helped me to be able to buy this. And then the other $50, I was building kitchen islands a while ago, and I actually made a good bit of money building some kitchen islands for some people. And so that gave me a stockpile of cash to be able to put towards some of my tools. And so you'll see later on that those kitchen islands help me to be able to afford several other tools in my shop. Hey, if you have any tips on how to make my shop layout more efficient, or if you have any suggestions on how to make my shop organization better, I would really appreciate it if you commented down below. Next is my jointer. I got this jointer for $150 off of Facebook Marketplace. I bought this jointer with some of the kitchen island money. I'm not the biggest fan of this jointer. I don't like how the in-feed and out-feed supports are very short. It only joints up to 6 inches. I wish it was 8 inches. This is on like this flimsy base. I wish it was a floor model. I wish it had more power. So there's pretty much nothing that I like about this jointer. I did put new blades on it, and that helped quite a bit with the snipe and the tear out. But for longer projects, if I'm building tables, this is just not the way to go. Now onto my dust collector. This is a 1 horsepower Delta dust collector. I got this for $150 off of Facebook Marketplace. That came with the dust collector and then this separator right here. That separator is awesome. It fills up this trash can before it gets into this bag. And this dust collector has been great for my small shop. I use it for my planer, I use it for my table saw, my jointer, and then for my router as well that I'll get to in a second. I did get all the piping with the dust collector whenever I bought it, and this piping is horrendous. I think this piping is like an extension for like a gutter to be able to run water off in a different direction. We have other piping that it looks like it's from an old shop vac, and then we got other piping that it looks like a hamster should be running through it. So I would really like to redo that at some point, but it really, for my small shop, it doesn't really affect me that much. I bet some of you are like, man, I bet that guy's CFM sucks. Sucks. That was bad. Anyways, this dust collector has been working well for me, and I probably won't be getting rid of it anytime soon. Hey, if you've made it this far into the video, first I just want to say I appreciate it. Most people probably haven't. Also, if you've made it this far, that means you must be enjoying it in some form or fashion. So if you could hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. And if you want to follow me in my woodworking journey, I would appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. That helps my channel grow and helps push my content to other people so they can view it as well. Thank you. Now let's get back to the video. This is my router table. I got this for $50 off of Facebook Marketplace. I got this around the time whenever I got the planer. So this is some of the kitchen island money. I like this router for the most part. I would change the bit. The bit I got off of Amazon. It's a cheaper bit. I would like to upgrade to a Freud bit eventually. I really like this router because the router is built into it, and for $50 I couldn't pass it up. I didn't have a router table, and it works for me. This is my miter saw. It is a Hitachi 12-inch compound miter saw. I really enjoy this miter saw. This is one of my first woodworking tools. I bought it about 5 years ago. I got it for $100 off of Facebook Marketplace. I don't really remember where that $100 came from, but I'm sure I sold something in order to be able to afford it. But this thing has been great. I've replaced the blade with one of those spider blades you can get from Lowe's. That seems to do a much better job than the blade that actually came on it. And I really don't have many complaints about it. It cuts what I need it to, and I probably won't get rid of it until it breaks. This is my welder. This is a Lincoln Electric ProMag 140. I only know that because I can read. I've never actually used this before. I got this on a trade. I had an old four-wheeler that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace for $300. I had the intentions of fixing it up because it didn't run, but it turned out to be more of a project than I was willing to take on, so I posted it on Facebook Marketplace. And then a guy hit me up and asked if I would like to trade this welder setup for the four-wheeler. And I said, why not? I don't need the four-wheeler, and I really don't need a welder, but I want this more than the four-wheeler. So I decided to take the trade. My wife wasn't very happy because I didn't get any cash money, but I feel like I did pretty good on the trade. Let me know in the comments what you think. Now to talk about the tools that really got me into woodworking. Whenever we first bought this home, I wanted to do some minor repairs and build some furniture for around the house, and I didn't have any tools of my own. So for Christmas, my wife, she bought me these tools. She bought a combo kit from Milwaukee. She actually sold her MacBook in order to be able to afford these tools, which I was very appreciative of. And this really got my woodworking journey started. This came with a circular saw, an impact drill, a 1/2-inch impact, an oscillating multi-tool, a drill, a hacksaw, a grinder, a flashlight. This thing is a piece of junk, by the way. And a blower. Besides the light, I've used these tools so much. You can see kind of the wear and tear of these tools. This hacksaw is great for processing deer if you've never tried that before. And these tools have been amazing for me and just getting my journey started. I would highly suggest getting on some kind of platform and getting a combo kit from that platform. So as many of y'all know, once you get started with a certain battery platform, you're pretty much stuck to it unless you want to trade everything out. But I really enjoyed the Milwaukee platform, so that's what I stuck to. And so I took on a side job to build a pergola / pavilion for a guy in town. I am a teacher by trade, so I did this pergola pavilion project on the side. And with that money, I bought some more Milwaukee Tools. I've always wanted a battery-powered saw to be able to cut some limbs around my property, and then a blower because we live in the woods and I always have to blow leaves. I got these two in a set for $250. Then I got this M12 impact driver and drill combo, and that came with a ratchet. I got these three for $220. I got this hunk of junk. I think it's an off-brand, like fake Milwaukee M12. It sounds horrible. I got this for $40 off of Amazon. I would not recommend that. And then because of the pavilion, I needed some things to drill into concrete to set some footings and anchors and bolts and things. So I got this SDS drill. This was $250. Then I got this framing nailer. This was $280. And I needed this to nail the tongue and groove ceiling on the pavilion. And so this came in handy. And so I got all of this stuff new. I got this off of HomeDepot.com and it was shipped to my house. Except for this hunk of junk. Don't buy that. But I did trade for this. This is just a Milwaukee fuel drill. I had an old crossbow. Was never using that crossbow. And I had a buddy who had this drill, who he found this on the side of the road. And I traded him the crossbow for the drill. And the drill came with the battery, and it works very well. So I was happy with that trade. But this is the rest of my Milwaukee Tools. So I know I just got done talking about battery platforms and not changing away from that specific battery platform. But I was looking into getting a Milwaukee M18 18 gauge brad nailer. And it was the price, just the tool of both of these. Plus I got 3 batteries. And so I got the Ryobi 18 gauge brad nailer, the Ryobi router, and 3 batteries for $250. And that was the price of the Milwaukee 18 gauge brad nailer. And so I decided to go this route, and I have no complaints. I needed a handheld router like this, and I needed an 18 gauge brad nailer for several of my projects. So I decided to go this route, and I have no regrets. Oh, and the money that I used to buy these was the last little bit of the kitchen island money. And so now the kitchen island money is depleted, and these are the last 2 tools I bought with that. And so all the money I made from those kitchen islands, I reinvested into tools. So this is that upstairs top area I was talking about before that's above my garage. This houses things like my scroll saw that I got for $50 off of Facebook Marketplace, my drill press that I got for $100 off of Amazon, my bandsaw that I got for $50 off of Facebook Marketplace, and my grinder that I got for $40 off of Amazon. And so the grinder and the drill press I got for my birthday, and the bandsaw and the scroll saw I got for $100 together. And I got that, I really don't remember, honestly. It was like 5 years ago I got those. I never really used them. That's why they are all up here. Sometimes whenever I drill dowels, I use my drill press. But other than that, they just pretty much sit up here. And it's hard to work up here because the ceiling height is so low. But if you have any suggestions on what I can do with this space, obviously some of it is storage. But if you have any suggestions on what I can do with this space, I would appreciate it if you commented down below. And that's pretty much it, y'all. I've taken y'all around my shop. I've shown you all my major tools. I've given you the price of everything I've paid for it and how I've paid for it. And now it's time to get the total of everything. Before I say the actual number, I want you to comment down below what you think the total is. Now, for the grand reveal. The total is... Do you think that is too much, or do you think that is a good deal? Let me know. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.